What's up, Internet? It is officially the end of the first day of Ritual League. Finally, we've got the brand new league to play. It's been a long day. It's surprisingly a very clean day. Other than some slow server queues, I heard some people were crashing right at the very start. I didn't have any crashes today, and had maybe one disconnect and one infinite load, basically. But that was pretty early on when the servers were really getting slammed, and otherwise I gotta say it's been a surprisingly bug-free day. This is probably the smoothest launch, at least day one of a launch that I've seen. You know, obviously most of us aren't into the Atlas content. Some people are, and maybe they're finding issues with the new Maven stuff. I'm not there yet. I basically just hit maps. I leveled really slow with this league. We're like 72, and I don't think I've died at all. I mainly wanted to talk about my experience leveling Hierophant in 3.13, because that's what I was most interested in, you know. Obviously, I talked about this in the last video. We have some nerfs, some changes here going on with the Hierophant, and we lost a fair bit of clear speed damage from Pursuit of Faith, and we lost our ability to drop 2 totems at the same time by default, which is pretty sad. But as you can see, we now have the ability to put Totem MTX on Soul Mantle. It's kind of a high price to pay for this one, considering how long we've been waiting, but it is what it is. I think we'll do a little bit of walk and talk here. We'll just do another tier 1 map. First, I think we'll talk about the leveling itself, because I gotta say it did feel to me like the mid-story stretch from Act 3 to Act 7 felt noticeably better than it used to. And I figured that would be the case, right? I talked about that even when I updated my guide at first. I figured that them moving that totem placement speed up to Pursuit of Faith was going to help that stretch, and it did. It's definitely a noticeable improvement. And it makes you really confident in being able to go Ancestral Bond early is the major thing. You don't feel gimped by not being able to put down your totems very quickly. It actually feels like it's probably a clear speed improvement. You just go straight into totems once you have Pursuit of Faith, which is a nice change. I mean, obviously, once you get to Act 7 and you get your second lab done, you don't have that sort of enormous power spike anymore. It does feel like an improvement. You still get your regen, and you still get, you know, now you get 5% damage per totem. But it's definitely not the, insane boost. I'm currently on a 5-link. It was pretty easy to get into a 5-link for me this league. I found 2 different Jeweler's Touches prophecies. I basically did every ritual on the way, which is one of the reasons it took me so long to level. I didn't want to skip any of them. I wanted to try and learn as much as I could. And it seems pretty clear to me that totems are going to be very good for that mechanic. Ritual is going to be like a totem, kind of like Blight was. It's going to be a very totem-friendly mechanic. As for the changes to Hierophant now that we got to maps, it's okay-ish. Right, I can definitely feel the lack of the dual totem drops, and I can also feel the hesitation of me wanting to put multiple totems in, just because while my damage is sort of at its lowest point in the mapping process, cutting it by another 20-some% while I level that gem to 20, it's gonna hurt our ability to freeze stuff. Right, it's gonna make you a little bit less safe. I think probably especially in the early to mid yellow maps, you know. This is the ritual mechanic here. I gotta say, they did a great job with the UI. I feel like this is probably the first league mechanic where most everything I would have felt like I would have thought about in the first week, they already thought about. It's a very nice change, right? You can apply your item filter to this window. If you set it to stricter, stuff will get grayed out. You can open this little menu from anywhere because all these rituals are linked. Once you've completed one, you can go all the way to the end, and if you don't find the last totem or whatever and you just want to get out, you can still just pick your item or defer something. It's really nice. makes you feel like you're not actually tethered to the totems. You just have to find them. All told, you know, leveling did not feel particularly different, and I didn't think it was going to, because if you do make the swap to, whether you make the swap to Freezing Pulse or you just stay Holy Flame Totem, we were already really strong in that part of the game, you know? We never had any issues leveling in the story. If anything, once you hit Act 7, it was probably one of the easiest ways to level through the remaining part of the story at all, right? You pretty much just get there and insta-phase Kitava, and everything's good. The actual placement speed of the individual totems is definitely quite a bit faster than it used to be. And it makes me wonder if it wouldn't be tolerable to do single drop totems and just take another damage link, but it probably just isn't ideal. I still think I wouldn't add multiple totems until I hit my 6th link, though. That's my current plan. I think it'll be fine to just map on single totem drops for a while. You can still be at 6 totems. Just kind of run your Frost Bomb in the multiple totem setup like we used to. And then once you do get your 6th link and put multi-totem in your Freezing Pulse, you just swap it out and put your Frost Bomb back on a manual cast. Or, you know, if you want to, you can get the Veiled recipe to trigger a spell every time you use a skill, you know? Oh, it looks like the map bosses are in this ritual. This is also a Fortify, if it seems like I'm not doing very much damage. The Fortify ritual makes them quite a bit more tanky. But that's all it does. There's still one more ritual, we should be able to afford that. These things, you only start really finding these in maps. And they're sort of the second level of ritual, right? Once you collect 100 of these, it turns into a little vessel. And if you put that in the map device, it'll sort of suck up all the monsters from the rituals on that map. And then you can put that vessel into the map device with a different map and basically double the amount of density in the rituals, but from a different kind of ritual, if that makes sense. That's going to be the way that you juice your tribute when you're trying to really target farm this mechanic, I think. Corrupted Blood Jewel, maybe. If there's any downside to this mechanic that I think people will get annoyed by, it's this. It's like sort of sitting and evaluating everything and being like, what do I take? I think, though, my gear is very suspect. As you can tell, got a 20 life helmet. Everything's just kind of like, this is okay. My best pieces are my chest piece and my 2 wands. The 2 wands I bought basically as soon as I hit maps. I spent like a total of 7 chaos. And then I paid, you know, whatever it cost me, like 2 chaos and something else for crafting onto these. So under 10 chaos for both of them. The price of wands will obviously slowly go up if you wait to buy them. This seems like I might be able to get some use out of this. I'll take it. Oh, I shouldn't. What am I doing? We're way too expensive. And apparently we've already found a lab trial. You know what? We'll do it live. Right after this ritual. Now the gimmick to ritual is that for every totem you find, it's going to add all of the monsters from the previous rituals. So we should see those map bosses again somewhere in here. I didn't already kill them. Maybe I did. But basically they just get harder with each one you do. And you'll get more and more tribute. Alts, sure. I'll just grab some random stuff. Crippling Grief. These are all pretty boring. Thankfully, with Mind Over Matter, these trials and stuff aren't particularly scary. Just because the damage of Labyrinth traps like this is based on your maximum health. But it doesn't really look if you have something like Mind Over Matter. So the traps still do the same damage as if you didn't have Mind Over Matter. But you get to still split the damage with your mana. You don't really need that much regen to just kind of close your eyes and run through stuff. It's still a little bit dangerous, but... Oh, I think I was supposed to, this way. All told, I'm pretty happy with the league so far. Obviously, it remains to be seen, I guess, how good the Maven stuff is and how having multiple totems is going to feel in the build. I will say it probably is not worth to do as many rituals as I did while you're leveling, if you're still leveling. There's a lot of loot to be had, for sure. But you're also just going to over-level really bad. Probably should have stopped doing it a lot earlier than I did. These are not very fun to do, frankly. I probably should have just skipped this until the video was over, but we're committed. Yeah, just in general, though, you can see that the early mapping part, it doesn't feel very different than before. It's not quite as, like, satisfying, I guess, to not be able to drop 2 totems inherently. But, it's all fine. We'll have to see, I think, you know, tomorrow's update. I'll have more information on, like, the, hopefully, anyway, the early reds, or the early, like, yellows, at least. And, have a better idea of whether it feels like the damage sort of starts to lag behind a little bit. That's pretty much my only concern. Anyway, all told, I'm pretty happy. I'm not exactly happy with the Hierophant changes, but I'm really happy with the league. And hopefully this trend of the build still feeling pretty good continues. That was really one of my favorite things about the build, is that it felt like the progression stayed at the right curve all the way through. So hopefully we don't run into any issues coming up here in the mid game. Anyway, if you want to stop by the stream while I'm doing all this, you can find me at twitch.tv/WallachTV. And if not, you can just check out YouTube, and I will have a new video probably posted once a day for at least the first week or so of League until I really understand everything going on. So until next time, guys, enjoy the new League. Peace.